Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Ohio.
The Indians enter this weekend showdown with the first place Blue Jays on a high, rallying from 2 down to walk off for a series win against the White Sox. Offense should be on full display in this possible October preview. Power-hitting all-star EDWIN ENCARNACION goes up against the top half of the Tribes order led by Francisco Lindor and Mike Napoli. Trevor Bauer was special against the Jays up in Toronto, and he gets the assignment tonight of trying to slow him down. Next on Sports Time Ohio. It's been a weird weather day in Cleveland, Ohio. Rain off and on all evening long. But right now the sun is out. Tarp is put away. We're ready for baseball as the Indians welcome in the Toronto Blue Jays. It's a battle of first place teams here in downtown. All right, so we've also got a great matchup on the field in terms of players. You got two of the top third basemen currently in the American League. We'll start with Jose Ramirez because he's batted in every spot in the order. And even though he's playing third base now, he's played 4 different positions, but really has solidified the Indians' infield.
Trying to make his name for himself at third base, and he's done a wonderful job so far this year. He's hit in 22 of his last 24 games. He's one of the clutch RBI guys in all of baseball, 4th best in the league, and then when you get to 2 outs, he's unbelievable. The former MVP, Josh Donaldson, we know what he can do. Power. He will not be in the lineup tonight because of a jammed thumb, so that's a good thing if you're the Cleveland Indians. But a premier third baseman in all of baseball is Josh Donaldson, and Jose Ramirez. Hopefully he can continue to do what he's been doing all year long.
Troy Tulowitzki is also out of the lineup for the Blue Jays tonight. He tweaked the calf muscle a couple of days ago in New York, so the Indians catch another break. Big bat missing from that Blue Jays order. Joey Batista, he's on the DL, so they won't have him to deal with, and that should all mean good news for Trevor Bauer.
Well, you certainly hope so. Bauer's pitched well. He's won his last 2 starts, and you go back to his win in Toronto in that 19-inning game. He had 5 innings and got the win. He hasn't pitched well, but in his last 2 starts, he's been very good. And they have been wins for the Cleveland Indians. He's 1-1 in his career, and he's going to be matched up against left-hander Francisco Liriano, who was traded over from Pittsburgh. He's having an average year, 6-12 with a 5.46. The Indians hitters must be patient against him. He leads all of baseball in walks this year.
One of the highlights of the year for the Indians, that franchise record 14-game hitting streak, highlighted by that 19-inning game. How about the after effects since then? Andre Knott will join us when we come back to discuss that very topic. Plus, the first pitch between the Tribe and the Jays. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by your local Toyota dealers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Some games going around in the majors tonight. An important one. Detroit is at home taking on the Red Sox in that pitching matchup. As Rick Porcello on the mound for Boston. He's 9-1 with a 2.75 ERA over his last 11 starts. He'll go up against Tigers rookie Michael Fulmer, who's coming off his first major league complete game and shutout. And there's a tight race going on in the AL East as Boston and Baltimore both a game and a half back behind Toronto. We'll send it back out to Matt and Rick now at Progressive Field.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Indians getting ready to take the field. Behind pitcher Trevor Bauer. And we're going to go downstairs to Andre Knott because Bauer really made a name for himself this year when he came out of the bullpen and pitched those 5 innings in that 19-inning game. But that game had lasting effects for both clubs, didn't it?
It really did. Not only did Bauer really become a household name, he gained some respect within his own clubhouse, but he struggled afterwards until his start in Washington. We'll get to that a little later. The Indians were in the midst of a 14-game win streak. That was their 14th win on that 19-inning game that started during the day and ended at night. Some numbers to just throw at you because Terry Francona told us that game could have ramifications going forward for the rest of the year. The Tribe is 20-20 since that game. They're hitting .284 with a 4.87 team ERA. Guys, their starters are at 5.10 since that game. On the Blue Jays side, they're 26-13 with the team ERA of 3.39. Their starters are at 3.46. They're hitting .255 since then. I guess I bring up these points. These are two of the best teams in the American League, and when you talk about them, most would think it's the Indians pitching that's carrying them, and most would think the Blue Jays hitters is what's carrying them. But since that game, way back when, it's really been the complete opposite for both teams.
That's really a good point because, you know, since I think it's May, the Toronto Blue Jays have been the best club around, even better than the Chicago Cubs. So it is something to look at. But the Indians have maintained. They've been .500, as you say, Andre, and a lot of it has been driven by the offense.
But it is a banged-up Toronto Blue Jays club, as I mentioned in the open. No Josh Donaldson tonight, no Troy Tulowitzki, and Jose Bautista sidelined as well. So you got 3 pretty key ingredients in that lineup that are missing.
Well, Bautista was on the DL when we were in Toronto because he had the bad toe at that point in time. So he's back on it again. And when you lose the MVP and your shortstop, your left side of the infield, that's certainly going to hurt him.
Let's hope Trevor Bauer can take advantage of that tonight as he takes the hill for the Cleveland Indians. And a look at the starting lineup for John Gibbons, brought to you by Spitzer Automotive. Devin Travis is the leadoff man. Michael Saunders bats second. Edwin Encarnacion will hit third. Russell Martin, Melvin Upton, and Ezequiel Carrera are the middle third of the order. Justin Smoke, Darwin Barney, and Ryan Goins round it out.
And Trevor Bauer is our Honda starting pitcher for tonight. It'll be his 20th start on the year. At home in his home ballpark, 3-3 with a .491 earned run average. He has beaten Toronto this year. That, as we told you, was the 19-inning game. He came out and gave 5 shutout innings of relief to get the win. In his career, he's 1-1. This will be his 3rd start against the Toronto Blue Jays on Friday night, and let's hope it's a good one tonight. We can set the defense behind him. It is brought to you by Jeep, and it looks like this. In the outfield from left to right, it's going to be Geyer, Davis, and Almonte. On the infield from third to first, it'll be Ramirez, Lindor, Kipnis, and Santana. Perez back behind the plate.
Mike Estabrook calls the balls and strikes. Greg Gibson at first. Ramon DeJesus is at second base, and the crew chief Dana DeMuth down at third. In the American League's Eastern Division, Toronto with a game-and-a-half lead over both Baltimore and Boston. Those two teams identical records of 67 and 53. Toronto at 69 and 52. The Indians leading the Central by 6 games over Detroit at 69 and 50. Best team in the American League record-wise, Texas at 72 and 50 entering play tonight. Plenty of Blue Jay fans here tonight. They will try to keep from being drowned out by the Indians fans. Ground ball to third right at Jose Ramirez, and he throws him out and one away. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. For Trevor Bauer, keep it down. And we'll see what the Indians can do. They haven't seen Francisco Liriano now in several years. He's been in the National League. Just traded over here from Pittsburgh to Toronto. We'll talk about that when he takes the hill. But right now it's Michael Saunders, a left-handed batter. 1 of 4 in the lineup for Toronto tonight against Bauer. Game time temperature 83 degrees under what now appears to be mostly clear skies. We'll see if that holds up. How many times have they taken the tarp today?
It's funny because it looked perfect when we got here about 3 in the afternoon today, and they were going to take batting practice, and all of a sudden it started raining, and they pulled the tarp, they took it off, they pulled it back about 3 times. And it wasn't that it was a hard rain, it stayed for about 5 minutes and left every time.
Yeah, but when it rained hard. It wasn't a couple of sprinkles. 2-0 count to Saunders. He takes again. 3-0. Hit outside. He walks him on 4 straight. And the Blue Jays have a 1-out base runner. EDWIN ENCARNACION. You know, when people talk about the American League MVP race, they talk about Jose Altuve, talk about Mookie Betts, they talk about Manny Machado. Don't hear a lot of people mentioning EDWIN ENCARNACION's name, but he should be very much in the conversation with 34 homers and 100 runs driven in already.
Well, he's turned into a really good hitter.
I think sometimes, though, Arch, when you're a DH, it definitely takes a little bit of your steam away in the MVP talk.
I would agree with that. But, you know, this guy, he played first base in one game that we played back in Toronto. But you're right, he's not a first baseman all the time. He DHs most of the time.
All of a sudden, Bauer can't throw a strike. That's 6 straight.
Well, we saw that all too much last night in the first inning when it comes to balls.
Encarnacion swings at the 2-0 and pops it up right near the mound. Santana has it. 2 away.
Bauer got away with one. It was up. It was above the belt, and he gets underneath it. He was going after it. Check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker. That was a spinner, and you see where Perez was sitting. He was sitting for it away, and a good thing it wasn't down there because he popped it up. It stayed right there. It didn't really break. They get the second out.
And up comes Russell Martin. Martin drives one deep left and gone. Bauer gives up a first pitch homer to Martin, and the Blue Jays bang their way to a 2-0 lead early.
If I'm not mistaken, he did that. I think it was on Sunday in the first inning. Or was it Saturday? He was hitting 4th or something in that lineup, and he had a big home run in the first inning back there, and that's just a bad pitch right down the middle. And Martin took advantage of it, and it'll be his 13th home run. And the Blue Jays on top, 2-0.
So even without Donaldson, Tulowitzki, and Batista, the Blue Jays still come out and flex their muscle in the first. Melvin Upton came over in a trade from San Diego. He's gone 13 for 61 at the plate. He has struck out multiple times in 9 of his last 15 games. Chops this one to short. Lindor will throw him out. But the Indians will have to play from behind tonight. Russell Martin. And the Blue Jays lead it 2-0. Indians tonight under manager Terry Francona, and that's brought to you by Progressive. Rajai Davis will lead it off. Jason Kipnis bats second. Francisco Lindor third. Mike Napoli, Carlos Santana, and Jose Ramirez. Brandon Guyer, Abraham Almonte, and Roberto Perez.
Our Hyundai starting pitcher, Francisco Liriano. It's been a while since he's faced the Indians. He's 5-6 in his career against them, 2-3 in this ballpark.
Rajai Davis takes it's outside 1-1. In the hole, and it gets by Goins into left field. Leadoff man aboard for Cleveland.
Well, that was a changeup. He doubled up, and Rajai Davis swinging it well the last couple of days. Stays back enough on it. It was elevated, so it enabled him to pull the ball and get it in the hole. That's the changeup. He's got a wipeout slider when he's on, but a lot of times he likes to get the hitters to swing at balls out of the zone. And that one gets into left field. Base hit. Good start. They had their leadoff man on board last night 6 out of the 9 innings. So they were on fire last night getting that leadoff man aboard.
Up and in, ball 1 to Jason Kipnis.
And I would have loved to have been sitting in those meetings today saying these guys will run. You know, they're going to end up holding him. We'll see how many times they throw over to first, because everybody else that has come to town has been doing it.
Kipnis smacks it right at the shortstop. Goins to Travis. And on to first, another double play. It was the bugaboo that hurt the Indians early in last night's game. And it rears its ugly head again right out of the gate here in the first.
Well, we'll set the defense for the Jays. Now Carrera in left, Upton in center, Saunders over in right, Bernie at third, Goins at short, Travis at second, Smoke is at first with Martin doing the catching. That ball was hit on the nose. You can't hit it any better. And if it's in the tracks, that's a routine double play ball, but he hit it hard.
hit. This one by Lindor. And a 2-out base runner.
Second straight right-hander that's found that hole between short and third. So this is exactly right how it was last night. And through the first 5 innings, they had grounded into 4 double plays, and then they scored 5 straight innings to end up coming back and win that ball game. Hopefully they don't hit into as many double plays. They just start scoring and keep scoring.
At the knees, outside corner. Napoli does not agree with on-plate umpire Mike Estabrook, but it's strike 1.
Yeah, he didn't say much. He just turned around and says, you sure that was a strike?
Swing and a miss, 1-2 the count.
That's the first slider right there. And now this is the pitch that he'll try and throw it, and that's when it was inside off the plate. He will throw that down and into the right-handers to get swings and misses, and that opens up his changeup.
In the air to center field, routine play for Upton. And the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits, a man left after 1. Toronto 2, Cleveland nothing. Ezequiel CARRERA, former Indian, will lead off. And Trevor Bauer gets ahead of him with a first pitch strike.
He was leading off back in July when we were in Toronto for the series. Taking a lot of pitches. If I remember right, he walked about 6 or 7 times in that series.
Dirt. right back. The count stays a ball and 2 strikes. Carrera was activated from the DL a week ago. 1 week ago today, to be exact. He had an Achilles problem. Strained his left Achilles and sidelined him for a while. Swing and a miss. Bauer gets his first strikeout. 1 down here in the second. Our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. Last night, the Orioles absolutely tattooed the Astros 13-5. J.J. Hardy hit a couple of home runs. He's one of, I think, 12 Orioles players that hit a home run in that game last night. I mean, they just completely.
Yeah. And you know what? 4 in the first inning tonight, 3 consecutive.
I think Chris Davis had 2.
Yep.
Machado had 1.
Trumbo.
Today they came out. They hit 4 in the first inning. It was Adam Jones, Manny Machado, a 2-run shot, Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo.
Now you don't want to make bad pitches in that ballpark to that lineup.
Back-to-back Ks for Trevor Bauer here in inning number 2.
Make this our Circle K strikeout, and it's a good fastball, and there you'll see it going away at the belt, away. Smoke goes down. Second consecutive strikeout for Bauer.
Right back to Bauer. Blue Jays quickly erased here in the second. Indians will go back to work with the bats when we come back. They dressed it up with the fedora. The fans here at the game tonight. How many? 10,000, 15,000?
Yes, yes, 10-5, I believe.
Carlos Santana leads it off. Takes ball 1. Well, I don't know if we are officially sold out, but they are packed almost to the very top in every row here tonight. It looks really close to a sellout. I bet when it's all said and done, we're going to be.
Well, that's a nice look. And that was probably the loudest first inning I've heard here this year. Toronto fans have come down again.
Yeah, a lot of Blue Jay fans behind the Toronto dugout. Their club in first place. Indians in first place. Potential postseason matchup awaiting. A lot of baseball to be played between now and then. Nothing settled anywhere. Closest you would have to that in the National League, where the Cubs have a 13-game lead in the NL Central. The 3-1 to Santana. Right at the shortstop. And Goins throws him out. Time for an in-game update. Back to the studios. Here's Ashley Collins.
Thanks, Matt. Keeping an eye on that Tigers game. They're playing host to the Red Sox, and Boston would jump out to an early lead. David Ortiz with a 2-run blast, his 28th of the season. Among active players, Ortiz has the most career homers against the Tigers with 35. They're now up 4-0, guys.
All right, thanks, Ashley. After Ortiz went deep in the same inning, Jackie Bradley Jr. hit a 2-run shot.
All right.
So they've jumped on Michael Fulmer, who is the other top-notch rookie in the American League, aside Tyler Naquin and Omar Mazara and some others. But Boston
I got some sleep last night, Matt. I got a lot of sleep after that day game.
Jose Ramirez takes up high. 1-2. Out of play. Got him. Good pitch. First strikeout for Liriano, and there are 2 down in the second. Let's go down to Andre Knott.
The scouting report on Liriano, as you just saw, is that changeup is one of his better pitches, and he just got the strikeout with there. The other one is obviously his slider. I know Ty Van Berkeley basically told his right-handed hitters, if that slider starts on the inside part of the plate or the middle of the plate, leave it alone, because it's probably going to your back foot. Be disciplined against him, and you'll get him out of here.
I would agree with that, because he is all over. He likes to get you. He gets ahead early and tries to get you to swing at pitches out of the zone. So it's going to take a patient approach. So far, they've hit the ball pretty well. They did in the first inning.
Like a meteor, Francisco Liriano burst onto the scene back in 06 with the Minnesota Twins, and he was like nothing we'd seen in a long time. He was 12-3 in 16 starts that year. His ERA was 2.16. He had 144 strikeouts in 121 innings of work. He was just overpowering hitters, and you wondered, man, is this going to be the next great pitcher, or the Indians going to have to deal with this guy for a decade? Well, some people believe his slider, which was so devastating and almost unhittable, may have led to his demise, which required Tommy John surgery at the end of that season. Missed all of 07. Took him a couple of years to come back from that. But with Minnesota, he did return, and he had a good year in 2010. He won 14 games at a 3.62 ERA. Was named comeback player of the year, but then the shoulder started nagging at him. And Geyer goes down on strikes, and Liriano carves up the drive in the second. 3 up, 3 down. And the Blue Jays go to the third inning. Toronto up 2-0. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning, and joined now by former Indians outfielder Marquise Grissom. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Always good to see you.
Good to be seen.
What's new?
Nothing. Everything pretty much the same, man. Still grinding at home with the kids in the community and trying to take care of moms and pops.
Little tapper foul off the bat of Ryan Goins leading off this third inning.
You still follow baseball, I'm sure. Keep your eye on it, and you know, I'm sure look around the league to see what's going on. Have you had an opportunity to watch any of the Indians games or see anything or know anything about any of the players?
I have, but not as much. On my way up here, I kind of did a little Google searching.
Yeah,
you know, see who I can see and the stats and all that kind of stuff. But I see a pretty good fundamental team who's playing pretty good baseball right now. Pretty much doing all parts of the game. Good pitching, good bullpen, timely hitting, which, you know, it's great to have that ninth inning walk-off. That's a confident booster for the month.
They've had a very good year and a lot of surprises. The guy playing third base, Jose Ramirez, he was playing a little left field. He's been a lot of fun to watch, along with our shortstop Francisco Lindor. A guy that's been amazing too is in center field, Rajai Davis, who's been stealing bases and playing very well for this team in center and left.
Popped in the air to right field. Routine play here for Almonte. Marquise, at age 35, for Rajai Davis to be leading the league in stolen bases with 33, what does that say to you about him?
Well, he's in pretty good shape, for one thing. And I don't know how he did early in his career, but at that age, when you're stealing that many bases, I'm pretty sure he stole a lot of bases in the minor leagues and prior to that. And it beats your body up. And I think that, you know, at that age, at 35, to be able to lead the league in stolen bases is attributed to his work ethics, probably during the offseason. I think this takes a lot of conditioning and a lot of heart to go out there and steal bases at 35.
You're right. He's a true professional, and people don't understand the beating your body takes when you're a base stealer. And, you know, whether it's 15 or 20 a year or whatever it is, your body gets hurt, doesn't it? From knees to ankles to hands to wrists to strawberries all over your body.
Oh, yeah, it does. I think also, you know, being in center field, you know, you got to go from gap to gap, in and back on the balls, and pretty much the same pattern as base stealing, a lot of running, and your body takes a toll.
Marquise, was the stolen base, was it ever de-emphasized when you were playing because guys were hitting home runs at such an incredible clip on some of those teams that you played on?
Well, I've seen the game evolve. I think when I first came in the game in 1989, there was a lot of guys stealing bases. All I heard was Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, guys that stole bases, prolific base stealers. And then as, you know, I got 5 or 10, 15 years in the game, it kind of changed. And then everybody wanted to see the home run ball. And I think, you know, with the steroid era coming in and out, now guys are going back to playing good, hard, fundamental baseball. A lot more hit and run, a lot more stolen bases.
And the fun part of it is defense. Yeah, it's all the little things in baseball that's how you win over the course of 162 games.
Michael Saunders takes close pitch, 2-2 the count. We were just talking about in Baltimore, Houston's already come back to close it to 5-4, but the Orioles hit 4 home runs in the first inning tonight. You know how that ballpark can play. And I always think back to that 97 ALCS, which was epic postseason clash between Cleveland and Baltimore, and you had a big hand in that. Was that a ballpark that you ever, did it have that kind of feel like you're never out of a game because of the way it played in Camden Yards?
Oh, yeah. You know, you got certain ballparks where the ball, it's kind of jump, and you know, it all depends on the time of the day and whether it's a day game or a night game. But in Baltimore, I don't think it matters day game or night game. I think if you get the ball, hit the ball well, you got a chance of hitting it out of the ballpark. The ball just jumps there like it jumps in Cincinnati. And you know, back to the Orioles, they got a great hitting ball club.
Yes. Yeah, we saw that firsthand.
Yeah.
About a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, they hurt us early. They hit 3-run homers in the first inning and then went to pitching against us. We didn't really score in that series, but they can bash you in their own ballpark. The Boston Red Sox ball club has a nice offense to watch. They've got a fun team to watch swing the bats.
Yes.
Michael Saunders walked and scored in the first inning. Runner goes. Ramirez still goes to second. They get the out on to first. It's an inning-ending double play. Terrifically turned by Ramirez and Lindor. So that goes 5-6-3 on the putouts. And we'll continue with Marquise Grissom here at Progressive Field, where Toronto leads it 2-0. Top, bottom half of the third, it'll be Abraham Almonte, Roberto Perez, and then Rajai Davis. Indians had 2 hits in the first. Well, Lariano came out and set him down 1-2-3 in the second. We're visiting with former Indians outfielder Marquise Grissom here, as Almonte stands in the third inning. He swings and misses.
I know what I want to ask Marquise as a right-hander. And now we're facing left-handers. Did you like facing lefties or righties better? Did it matter to you?
Well, early in my career, you know, when you're coming up to the big leagues and you want to get your feet wet and get you a little comfortable, get your momentum going. So I played against left-handers only, and struggled a little bit. I thought I hit better against the right-handers than I did the left-handers. So I didn't understand that. But my college coach prepared me pretty good. He told me I would get a chance to play against the left-handers. So at first, it really kind of bothered me a little bit, but as I got a year or two in, it didn't bother me at all after that.
I mean, the Indians have been very good against left-handers this year, as you can see it on our Buick stat, but I always felt a lot of the right-handers like the ball going away from them as opposed to coming in, because that's how they see it more often.
Yeah, that's true.
Roberto Perez swings and lines one toward right center field, but they hadn't played that way. And Michael Saunders runs it down, and there are 2 away. That's going to bring us to the top of the order. Rajai Davis, who, when you look at Rajai, he kind of profiles as a classic leadoff type hitter. But Marquise, Terry Francona surprised some people this year, and Carlos Santana has batted leadoff almost half the time this season. When I think of you, people looked at you and said, "Oh, Marquise Grissom, leadoff hitter." But you weren't a guy that was looking to walk. I remember you said one time during that '97 season, "I leave the on-deck circle, it feels like it's 0-2.
Well, I was a free swinger. You know, I kind of stuck to my game when I first come in the league, and you know, they told me to hit the ball on the ground and run and use my speed. So I kind of had that. I had that type of game, and it kind of carried over year after year. When you're getting 150, 180 hits, you know, why change? And then I think as I got older, I evolved into not a power hitter, but I could hit 15, 20 home runs as well.
Well, you got a little more selective. You knew what counts to go for it in. You know, you knew when to give in. And I mean, that's all part of the learning process when you're a young hitter. And it takes a while to hit in this league.
Out of play, a 1-2 the count. The thing that Rick and I have commented on, and I'm sure you've seen it, the number of pitchers, starters to bullpen, who are throwing 95 and above is astounding. I imagine for a guy like you, all the years you played.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're looking for that velo now, that velocity and that size. And I look at some of the players today, man, it is unbelievable. Every pitcher is 6'5", 230, and throwing gas. But you know what? That's where the game is going. And, you know, players that want to play this game, They have a lot of guys to look at, you know, if they want to go out and play this game at the next level.
Yeah, but you played big, and that's all that matters. Good
Appreciate
seeing
it.
Marquise Grissom joining us here in the booth. Indians down 2-0 to Toronto. Trevor Bauer's first pitch to Edwin Encarnacion sails high, ball one. He popped up on the infield his only time up. Good changeup, and that's in for a strike to even the count. Ball pulled foul. Encarnacion now 2 behind Mark Trumbo in the American League home run tallies, but he is #1 in the league in runs batted in. Fastball tried to overthrow it. 2-2. Threw it by him.
I like the location of that pitch. It was belt high and it was running inside. That was really a good pitch. By Bauer, gets his 3rd strikeout. There you go. Look at, boy, it's tough to get your hands out and get the barrel head of that bat out and through it.
Yeah, you can see he was tardy.
Yes. Well, you know, he'll take a big rip, but to get the barrel head of that bat out in front where that location is, you just can't do it, or you're going to get inside on the trademark.
Russell Martin hit the first pitch he saw for a home run. He's swinging away at the first pitch here and fouls it back.
I got to tell you, this homestand, we have had more balls up in our direction, and we've had one in the booth, so it's been a crazy homestand. Oof.
One and one to count.
Well, there's one that's, he took a healthy cut before after taking him deep in the first. And Trevor says, I think you're a little too comfortable in that batter's box and you made him get out of the toe hold.
1-1.
Nothing wrong with that. Just
big curveball.
Keep making your pitches.
And he's in the hole 1-2.
There's a nice curveball. You can see it coming out of his hand. And I think Martin wanted to hit the scoreboard, wanted to hit his picture up on the scoreboard with that swing, and that's after that pitch up and in, no question.
And the 1-2. Fastball got him looking. Have a seat, Russell Martin. Back-to-back Ks for Bauer here in the 4th, and there are 2 down.
Well, he comes back with another nice fastball, outside edge with a little comeback to it. If he gets that 2-seamer working, look out. Because when he's had it working in games this year, he's been awfully good.
Now Melvin Upton. He checks on a ball that's a little high. Off-speed pitch fouled toward the Indians dugout. Fastball, and I tell you what, he's got a pretty good heater tonight. When he's been able to locate it, they haven't been able to sniff it.
Well, that's in the time he pitched in Toronto in that 19. It was all fastballs. He didn't have a breaking ball. It maybe a little changeup, but it was primarily fastballs for 5 innings.
Blowing away. Ends up walking him. So a 2-out base runner for the Toronto Blue Jays. It'll bring up EZEQUIEL CARRERA, and we'll have a look at the injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Joey Bats, along with Kevin Pillar, who tore ligaments in his left thumb. A couple of key guys down on the 15-day deal, and then of course Tulowitzki, Donaldson. They're both day-to-day. Carrera can't catch up. And that's strike 1.
This could be a situation here where you may see Upton trying to take off. 2 outs. Carrera just a singles or a line drive hitter, trying to get himself in a scoring position.
Pulls that one in the hole. And a 2-out single keeps the inning alive.
Well, this one wasn't located. That fastball stayed belt high, and you know, I don't care how hard you throw, you better hit your spots. That one stayed up, and it was middle of the plate. Carrera took advantage of it. So after the 2 strikeouts, you get a walk and now a base hit, and the Jays have the inning still rolling.
Justin Smoke out on strikes his first time up and takes a called strike. Justin Smoke 0 for his last 28 with a runner in scoring position. You talk about a drought. That has been like trying to get through the Sahara.
Well, he still doesn't have the Blue Jays record, though. The Blue Jays record is 0 for 30. That was Rico Carty back in 1979.
He doesn't have the record, but he's got it in his sights, whether he wants to or not.
Well, I know. I mean, that's nothing to talk about. You know what? We should be talking about. We should have waited until the at-bat's over. But, you know, it's something when here's a guy, a big switch hitter that, you know, he can drive the ball and he's a good hitter going like he is.
Well, his last 15 games, he's 1 for 28 with 2 strikes on him. Bauer's 0-2 pitch. posted way out in front of the plate.
Well, and on the other side, or on the flip side of that coin, it's the Indians. That's how we've been talking about this homestand, the way they've been hitting with 2 strikes. It's not something that you do as well as they've been doing all homestand, but it happens, and you can, the switch can go the other way, and that's the way it's going right now for Justin Smoak.
And the 1-2 swung on and missed. Bauer strikes him out. He whiffs 3 in the 4th. He's got 5 in the ball game. Blue Jays strand a pair. They still lead it though 2-0. It won't be long before he and the Cavaliers will be headed back to work to defend.
Are you kidding me?
Their NBA championship.
He can't be going back to work already, can he?
No, it won't be long. I mean, think about when's the season start? November? October? Early November? So, yeah. Doesn't it seems like they just won it.
Well, yes. But we've been working every day since they won it. So that may seem why it's so long ago.
Boy, Francisco Liriano has looked like he's turned back the clock a decade or so. Mason Kipnis hit into a double play. Hit the ball sharply his first time up. High fastball. Mentioned before that Liriano burst onto the scene in 06, had that 12-3 season, 2.16 ERA. And that is out of play. Following year, though, Tommy John surgery. A lot of people felt like he'd throw so many sliders and he just put so much stress because he was a power thrower. I mean, he was mid-90s, upper 90s fastball and just had so much torque.
But that was back in the day they had Johan Santana, too. And he was the premier guy over there, and then this guy came along. He said, oh my goodness, they are going to be unbelievable.
Kipnis down on strikes. That's 4 Ks for Liriano already tonight. 1 down here in inning number 4. And you know, the thing about Liriano too is after that season he had the Tommy John, he came back, and you know, it took him a while to get things figured out. In 09 he was 5-13, his ERA was almost 6, and then in 2010 14-10 with a 3.62 ERA, won the Comeback Player of the Year award. The following season in May he threw a no-hitter, and it was his first complete game ever as a pro. Isn't that something?
Well, no, not really, because when you think about it, you know how good Max Scherzer is. You know how long it took him to get a complete game? I think it was last year in Detroit.
When he started throwing no-hitters.
You know, so it took him God knows how many starts to get a complete game. And then, to me, that amazed me because that was one of the toughest guys to hit. Well, he's got the good fastball now, the changeup, and the slider working. And when he gets ahead of you, that's when he expands your zone, and he's got 3 weapons to go after you. And a lot of times you're swinging at pitches out of the zone because you have to protect. You want to get in hitters' counts. And then you can take pitches like that. And exactly what Lindor's in. You can zero that strike zone in. You don't have to swing at the tough pitches. And if you get a lot of plate, then you can get after it.
Throws it to the shortstop. Goins throws it out. 2 away.
Well, Indians baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. You can stay connected all season with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
My boy Dale Milano says October 25th, Cavs home opener against the Knicks.
And there you have it. That's before Halloween.
Isn't that something? Man. There's Mike Napoli fouling one back out of play.
Well, I guess my question would be then, are they changing the schedule where they get more off days? They're not playing as many back-to-backs. It's gonna change a little bit, huh, Paul? I'm not sure, but that's what they were talking about.
2 quick strikes.
Now, when he gets you 0-2, 1-2, that's when you can be in trouble as a hitter, unless he makes a mistake.
When Liriano really started to fade with the Twins, some people wondered if maybe he was just going to be one of those cautionary tales, a flash in the pan. He was 3-10 with a 5.31 ERA with Minnesota in 2012. They traded him to the White Sox for Eduardo Escobar, by the way.
Wow.
He didn't pitch all that well for the Sox down the stretch, but then signed as a free agent in Pittsburgh. And in 2013, he went 16-8 with a 3.02 ERA, and for the 2nd time in his career was the comeback player of the year.
How many pitchers resurrect their career in Pittsburgh? There's a lot of them.
The 1-2. A.J. Burnett quickly comes to mind.
This guy, Volquez, with Kansas City. Let me think, and I can name probably a half a dozen to 8 guys that have gone there and really turned it around.
Relievers for sure have gone there and pitched well. Mariano with a 2-2 in the dirt. Smash just foul at the third base side.
It did not miss by much, but look where Barney's playing. He's on the line. I still think it would have got by him if it was fair, but it was fouled by, I'd say, a foot at the most.
Toronto traded Drew Hutchison, right-handed pitcher, to the Pirates, so they gave up a pretty decent piece to get him.
And a minor leaguer too, yet to be named.
High pop-up. Smoke in foul ground. Indians go in order again. 10 in a row retired by Liriano. Baseball is brought to you by Levin Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. By your Northern Ohio Honda dealers. And by the Cleveland Clinic. Access anytime, anywhere. Two 2-0 Toronto, 5th inning. Darwin Barney leading off, grounded out his only time up. Ground ball is short. And Lindor throws him out, one away. Down to Andre.
And the interesting thing about Bauer, and I heard Arch talking about this an inning ago, is that curveball coming in from the bullpen. I was told by Roberto Perez that it was the best that he had seen him have it in a while. Now, you talked about that two-seam fastball and how good it's been. It took that outing versus the Toronto Blue Jays for him to believe in his fastball and start throwing that two-seamer. Over the last 2-3 starts, he's gone to it more than he's ever gone to it before. And he told me if he can get the curveball going along with the two-seamer, he feels like he can be one of the best pitchers in baseball at some point in time.
Do not disagree with that. That's when you got to focus. Remember, he had 6-7 pitches he wanted to throw, and boy, you eliminate a lot of them, and you throw 2 or 3 of them quality pitches. That's all it takes.
Right at the center fielder. Rajai Davis makes the grab, 2 away. Top of the order, and Devin Travis. Travis has grounded out, flied out. And a fastball strike. There's the curveball, but it's not close enough to tempt Travis. 1-1. Fastball fought off. 1-2.
That's 9-0-2 1-2 counts for Bauer tonight.
And the 1-2.
Change up one. Yes, it was.
Got him looking. Trevor Bauer has struck out a half-dozen Blue Jays. They go 1-2-3. Middle of the 5th. Toronto 2, Cleveland nothing. And watching a really well-pitched game so far is Francisco Liriano, looking like the Liriano of old. And a first pitch strike to Santana. He's set down 10 in a row. Fanning 4. You have 2 first-inning singles. That's been it.
Yeah, they swung the bat very well in the first inning, and if he can keep that fastball on the edges and then attack you with the off-speed pitch, that's why he has been so good tonight.
When Liriano has had problems this year, our statistician Tom Boshenik points out it's been in the middle innings. Whether it's that second or third time through the order, whether it's getting to that 60-70 pitch mark, whatever it is, that's when teams have had the most success against him.
Well, first of all, he's 4 strikeouts, no walks, and he has 73 walks on the season. That's the most in all of baseball. So you figure he's going to walk a few guys throughout the course of it, but he hasn't to this point.
He hasn't really even pitched from behind. 6 0-2 1-2 counts. What, 8 out of 13 first pitch strikes. So he's been ahead, which always helps if you're a pitcher.
Yes, it does when you're attacking good hitters.
Inside, he just missed and has walked his first. The Indians have their leadoff man aboard. Time for another in-game update. Here's Ashley Collins.
Thanks, Matt. Astros and Orioles are in Baltimore. In the first inning, Baltimore had 4 consecutive homers to go up 5-1, but Houston responded. In the second, down by 1, they would take the lead off a Jose Altuve double, his 77th RBI on the season. Baltimore just tied it up. It's tied at 6.
Ground ball, backhanded stop by Goins. Goes to second for 1. They get it, but the throw goes into the photo pit, and Ramirez will go to second base. So there's 1 out, but Ramirez gets to second base on the errant throw.
Well, probably at second, Travis should have held on to the ball because he didn't have a chance to turn the double play, so he throws it into his dugout, and it's going to go as an error. The 61st error by the Blue Jays. I really don't think with Ramirez going down the line they had any chance of turning that play, so that was an ill-advised throw. And it was a late throw because it just didn't develop quickly enough. So they'll take the extra base and get a guy in scoring position now.
Now Brandon Guyer will try to take advantage. And a first pitch strike.
Hit him.
Hit him on the foot.
He didn't even move.
Well, that's his gig. That's 25 times he's been hit by a pitch this year. That's the most in baseball.
Was it 44 going back over the last 2 years? But I mean, watch his front foot. Now this guy doesn't wear padding, folks. He wasn't going to move. He takes it and then moves on. He doesn't have the protection on his elbows or on his arm or on his foot. And that's where he takes that one, and he gladly puts the bat down and says, I'll see you on first base. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it's
he can take the next 2 guys. They can't even add up to him.
Abraham Almonte takes outside, ball 1. Almonte grounded out his only time up. As the Indians try to break through here in the 5th. They don't have a hit yet in the inning, but 2 on with 1 out.
Good pitch. Good pitch. Down and away. I know Almonte didn't like it, especially when you're you're ahead to count 1-0, and here comes a pitch right down there. Boy, that's a tough one to hit. You have to take it.
Good frame up by Martin.
Came back with a pitch going down in the same location, except it didn't have the speed. It was a good changeup.
the swing and a ball in the dirt. 2 down.
Number 5, he's ahead of Almonte, and what happens? You throw the ball, you throw a slider, and you get the swing and miss here from Almonte, number 5, and out number 2 in the inning.
That'll leave it up to Roberto Perez. Ball 1. One. And a ground ball right at the shortstop ends the inning. So the Indians get a couple aboard, cannot do any damage, and Liriano continues to shut them out. Miller time brought to you by Miller Lite. And a pitch to Michael Saunders is inside, ball 1. Saunders walked and scored ahead of the 2-run homer by Russell Martin in the first inning, the game's only runs thus far. Out of play.
I want to send along a very happy birthday to one of our colleagues, Tom Hamilton, over there doing the radio. Tommy, happy birthday to you, buddy.
The 1-1. You and Hammy are right around the same
close
same graduating class,
yeah,
right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's a few weeks older than I am. We're together. We're the old men of the group.
The 1-2 to Michael Saunders. Swung on and missed. Bauer has fanned 7
good fastball
on the night.
Another fastball. You're going to see it inside, and it's going to be that two-seamer that comes back in and sort of ties him up a little bit. Can't get the barrel head out front. He's a guy that likes to go inside out on the baseball as well, so a good pitch by Bauer. Strikeout number 7.
Edwin Encarnacion, 0 for 2 tonight, has popped up and he has struck out. And Bauer's 0-1, a bit outside to even the count. Bauer really went to school on Encarnacion back in the 4th. First time up, he had him 3-1 and he popped one up on the infield. Big curveball. Last time up, he got his attention with a fastball that was up and a bit in. But then he's had good curveball and good fastball command against him for the most part.
Yeah, that curveball was away. Then he was going to go try and get him to chase that one.
Chopped to third base. And Jose Ramirez. Santana came off the bag but was quick to slap the tag on Encarnacion. And now there are 2 down. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. First inning, 2 outs, 2-run homer by Russell Martin. That is it. The only runs of the game to this point. Both pitchers have been outstanding.
And I noticed the difference after that first inning. He gave up the 2 runs. Bauer came out and was a different guy because remember he struck out the next 2 hitters in that second inning. And he has been in command ever since. He's allowed just 2 singles after that homer.
Martin was rung up by a good fastball from Bauer back in the 4th. What was wrong with that? It was 95 and it was right down the heart of the plate. This is a case where an umpire just flat missed one. It's right down the middle.
Yeah. Yes, it is. How many times has that happened? You don't get a pitch called and the very next pitch is a base hit. So a 2-out single. Might have been a little cutter there by Trevor that stayed on the plane.
Melvin Upton 0 for 1 has grounded out and walked. And that's low ball 1. Upton, formerly known as BJ, the initials stood for Boss Man Jr. His father's nickname was Boss Man. But after a while, Upton said, you know, nobody knows who I am. My real name is Melvin. I want people to know my real name. So he talked it over with his family and made the change with Major League Baseball. So his given name, Melvin Upton Jr. And a strike call. Now Upton doesn't like Estabrook's call. Well, he's missing them both ways, Melvin. Two down, a runner at first, and the 1-2 pitch. In the dirt.
No, he had him down the first time in his first at bat, and he ended up walking him with 2 outs. This is the guy you got to get. He can swing and miss it a lot. You get it close, make a decent pitch.
Struck him out looking. Couple of Ks for Bauer here in the 6th inning. And the Blue Jays still lead it 2-0. Before we start the bottom of the 6th, let's go downstairs to Andre Knott.
Rajai Davis had a lot of success against Liriano coming into this game. He was hitting .296 with 3 doubles, a homer, 2 RBI. Says he always lets the ball get into him and then tries to drive it to right center. But if you check out his arms very close, he has his Go-Go Speed Racer wristbands on.
No,
nice.
he doesn't.
Look at that with his face on.
No, he doesn't.
That you know what that is now? That's bang. Is what he told me to tell you.
That is bam. Come on, Mach 5, get out of here. Sky high to center. 1 down. That's right. Speed Racer will be back before this game's over. It's going to bring up Jason Kipnis. Going to give me time to send out a special get well wish tonight to Jim Matos, the former Navy submariner. He is currently recuperating at the West Park VA hospital. Never misses a game. Huge Tribe fan.
Jim, get well soon, my friend. Let's go.
Struthers High School
Good luck.
product, and you hang in there, Jim. We're thinking about you. Jason Kipnis taking a fastball, and it's belt high in for a strike. Banged into a double play in the 1st, struck out in the 4th. There's a ball hard hit to right. And Saunders plays it back on his heels, and the Indians have a 1-out single.
Well, Kip is he's swinging it very well. Righties, lefties, he's hitting the ball right now. You should. Smack dab in the middle.
He's 1 for 3 tonight, and he's inching closer to that 300 mark.
He'll get there. The way he's swinging it, I have no doubt about it. He'll get there. Well, you can get a Francisco Lindor jersey tomorrow if you come out to the ball game. There'll be fireworks after it, but I'm sure everybody wants one of these. Number 12, a Francisco Lindor jersey tomorrow night.
Ball gets in the dirt, and the throw down to second base gets away. Kipnis can go to 3rd. Oh, baby, that went from looking like pure disaster because Martin's throw was on the money.
Yes, it was.
And if they catch the ball at 2nd, I think Kipnis was going to be out. Instead, Kipnis is standing on 3rd.
Was it Barney that was trying to take that throw? Martin dropped the ball. Kipnis took off, but it stayed right there. Martin had plenty of time, a good throw, and that's not Travis. He booted it and hit him on the heel of the glove.
Oh my!
He missed it completely. That Martin threw it too hard for him. So it ends up being a pass ball E4.
I was going to say that's exactly how I would have scored it.
Yeah, pass ball on Martin because he didn't catch it. It wasn't in the dirt. And then an error on Travis because he booted the ball. So now they're going to go out there and I don't know what he's going to say to Liriano, but boy, could be a big play here for Cleveland.
That's really think about this now for a second as Lindor steps in 1 for 2. Pulls it foul. Why should it be a pass ball on Martin if it's an E4 on the guy taking the throw?
I agree with you.
Because if he gets him out at second base, it's not a pass ball.
You're exactly right. It should be just a straight error.
E4.
Right.
Yeah, shouldn't be a
I
pass
think they'll
ball
take
on
that
Martin.
away.
Right field, near the line, long run for Saunders, but it's going to be a foul ball just out of play.
I agree with you. There's no reason for it to be a pass ball because he didn't advance and wasn't called safe before the error was made. But a chance for the Indians to get on the board with the ground ball, anything.
Calls it on.
And if you're KIPNIS here with 2 strikes in this count, you really got to be heads up for that ball in the dirt on the slider, because he's going to try and get him to chase one out of the zone and keep it out of the air. That's for sure.
Francisco Lindor leads the league with 11 sacrifice flies. Takes inside, it's 2-2. So Arch, you look at his numbers. Okay, Francisco Lindor is hitting 250 with runners in scoring position, but he does have 11 sac flies.
Yeah. Leads the league. He gets the job done.
In the air again, out of play to the right.
You know, you just try and stay on that ball as long as you can. He knows that he can try and hit one in the air at any time from either side of the plate. So you can see 63% of the time he has been able to get that runner in from third base in less than 2 outs, and that's where we sit now. 1 out, man on third. They're sort of gift wrapping this inning.
Outside, he missed. Full count. Now the 3-2 pitch. Pulled it foul. Payout pitch again. This time the putt goes flying and Lindor strikes out. So he's unable to get the job done here. That ball almost clobbered the starting pitcher Trevor Bauer, who was quick to.
He ran out of the dugout. Number 6 for Liriano. Here comes there it is, that changeup, or no, the slider. I told you he was going to try and get him to chase it down. That ball goes off the railing up there, and Bauer comes out. He was the only one that moved.
Well, it's going to take a 2-out hit. Let's see if Mike Napoli can deliver it. Napoli, after that 16-game hitting streak in which he was just sizzling, is now 0 for his last 10 at the plate. I don't know if the White Sox had a good game plan or if it's just a natural ebb and flow that is a baseball season.
I'm sure it's a little of both.
They had his number.
This guy, he's good behind the plate. Watch him just smother this ball. Another breaking ball in the dirt. He wasn't letting that ball go anywhere. And that's the key when you're trying to block pitches in the dirt as a catcher, is to keep your glove down. If you keep it down, it can't get through your legs, through the 5-hole.
And this one might be playable. Martin to the screen. No.
Now, Knapp looks like he's trying to hit everything out of the ballpark. He's taking healthy cuts with everything.
40 of his 85 RBIs have been with 2 outs.
And he's looking for another one here.
The Indians have been some kind of a 2-out, 2-strike hitting machine, especially on this homestand. High, 2-2. Jason Kipnis at third. Napoli the tying run at the plate. And there's a line drive base hit in the left field. Kipnis comes on home to score. The Indians are on the board. It's 2-1. Napoli with his 86th run driven in on the year, and yet another with 2 outs.
Yeah, his 41st. That's he caught a hanging slider, and it looks like that Martin wanted it down in the dirt. But this is going to be our yellow. We're bringing the lumber, and you can bring it when you get a hanging breaking ball. And he hit it hard. So Kipnis will come in to score. He hit the line drive, went to second, should have been out, went to third on an error. And a 2-out base hit. There's the slider. It stays up. Napoli takes advantage of it. The Indians on the board. It's now 2-1.
43 times on this homestand they have had a 2-strike hit. Now Santana 0 for 1 with a walk. Low and away. Just now getting some action in the Toronto bullpen. Santana spun out of the way. It was a lot closer than he made it look. As Joe Biagini warms up, he may be in the game quicker than he realized because it's 3-0 to Santana. Ball 4. Walked him on 4 straight. And here comes the pitching coach, Pete Walker. They'll give Biagini a little more time to heat up. In the meantime, the Indians will have Jose Ramirez to the plate, one of the best hitters with runners in scoring position in the league, 4th best in fact, and there's not many better when it comes to doing it with 2 outs.
Well, when you think about it, with Napoli with 41 2-out RBIs, and I'm sure Ramirez has a boatload of them as well, that carries a lot of weight through an offense. Those 2 guys have taken a lot of pressure off everybody else in that lineup. And it's been the top of the lineup, like at Davis, Kipnis, and Lindor, that has set the table for these guys, and they've cleaned it up very well.
Well, Ramirez has 22 2-out hits with a runner in scoring position. So you figure he's got to be around 40 or 40 plus RBI.
Well, he's at what, 50? I'm saying you're right. I would say right high 30s, if not 40s.
Sometimes you do get a hit with a runner in scoring position and don't drive in a run.
Yeah.
But I'll bet he's right there with his teammate Mike Napoli. And a strike call to even it up.
Well, it was a good pitch, and that's why you take it. When you get the count in your favor, you got the better odds against this guy because he can be effectively wild. He only has 2 walks. They've both been to Santana. 1 in the 5th, 1 this inning.
A little high, and Liriano showing some frustration with home plate umpire Mike Estabrook.
Well, you know, when you get pitches maybe earlier in the game and you don't get them later, that might have been a way.
The 2-1. And a foul right back to even the count.
I'll tell you, Liriano has not made a lot in the middle of the plate. The one to Napoli that got him on the board, but he hasn't stayed middle of the plate. He's been on the outer edges for the most part.
Outside, full count.
That was a changeup, and it looked like his body just fell off to the mound to the third base side, and his arm never caught up to it. Maybe trying to throw it too good with too much arm speed. I'm not sure, but it was up and away. Now they'll be off and running on the pitch.
There go the runners. Swung on and missed. Ramirez lost the helmet. More importantly, he lost the battle. Liriano gets out of it. Indians get on the board after 6. It's a 1-run game. Brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. By Ford, built Ford tough. And by Firelands Regional Medical Center. Well, young and old, they're having a great time at the ball yard tonight. It's a 2-1 game, Toronto leading it. As we enter the 7th inning, Trevor Bauer sitting at 83 pitches. Carrera bunts it foul, and it's 0-2.
Trevor has mixed that curveball in very well with his two-seam fastball and also the changeup. I like that pitch. That's a good pitch when he's got it working, and he says he can use those 2 pitches. And he's mixed in his changeup well. You can see the 12-6 rotation. I like it. Like it a lot. Trevor tonight, 13 0-2 1-2 counts.
Adam looking. Boy, he's had a bunch of those tonight, Arch, where I don't know if hitters are just locked up, guessing wrong.
Well, you know what happens? They're looking for something off speed, but there's that comeback heater. They give up on it. And it's in, you know, I think a lot of times they see breaking balls in counts like that, or Bauer's come in and thrown some nice fastballs with 2 strikes.
Yeah, I got 6 out of 9. Is that right? 1, 2, yeah, 6 out of 9. Have been looking. Justin Smoke has punched out twice tonight. Once looking, one swing. Back out of play. 2-1 offering. Blown away with a high fastball. 10 strikeouts for Trevor Bauer.
Elevated.
Our great clip of the game from last night, Mike Clevenger. Boy, he was just dynamite coming out of the bullpen with 4 solid innings. He was charged with 1 run. That came after he left the game. He struck out 4, only gave up the 1, 2 hits in all.
Nice job. You know, and the funny thing, it was his night to start, except they brought Salazar off the disable list, and it actually was a start. After Danny only went 1 inning.
Darwin Barney pulls it foul over top of the dugout. Barney getting the start tonight at third base with Josh Donaldson sitting the game out. He's been bothered by a strained thumb. Got jammed when he was batting against CC Sabathia in New York. And Barney down on strikes. How about just Trevor Bauer tonight with a season high 11 strikeouts.
Of the 7th, and we have an update for you on that Tigers and Red Sox game, and Boston would take a 6-2 lead in the 6th. Dustin Pedroia, an RBI single to right. Detroit's Michael Fulmer coming off a complete game shutout in his last outing. He is done for the night. Went 5 2/3, gave up 10 hits, 6 runs, struck out 1. Guys.
Thank you, Ashley. Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made for Joaquin Benoit. After Francisco Liriano, the left-hander, went 6 innings, gave up 1 unearned run on 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 7, hit a batter. Joaquin Benoit came over from Seattle. Benoit will be facing a pinch hitter as Tyler Naquin will bat for Brandon Guyer here in the 7th. Tyler pinch hit last night and was the walk-off hero with a sac fly.
Liriano did a very nice job tonight in his 6 innings of work. Just the 4 hits allowed, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. And he'll turn it over to a guy that's very, very deliberate on the mound, and he's about as slow as you get it out of the bullpen.
The Indians hung a loss on Joaquin Benoit back on June the 9th in the series finale at Safeco Field in Seattle before he was dealt to Toronto. Upstairs. The 2-1 offering. And a foul right back.
A couple other birthdays I'd like to get in. Dorothy Berger from Baltic is turning 85 today. And Al Cerny of North Canton is turning 80. Happy birthday to you both.
Chased one in the dirt and strikes him out. Tomorrow on FS1, the Mets take on the Giants at 3:30. Then on Sports Time Ohio, Josh Tomlin and the Indians take on Aaron Sanchez and the Blue Jays right here at 6:30. That's FS1 tomorrow. Mets, Giants, 3:30. Sports Time Ohio, Tomlin, Tribe take on Sanchez and the Blue Jays. You can watch it all on Fox Sports Go. One down for Abraham Almonte.
Last time we faced him, Benoit, a lot of splitters. To me, it looks like he's throwing early in the count, high fastballs, and then when he needs that swing and miss, he goes to that split. Should be coming right here.
Low and away. Indians have been absolutely stymied so far tonight.
Yeah, how many times have we said just 4 hits?
Weekly tap to second. 2 down.
Well, KeyBank Kids tickets start at just $15 for kids 12 and under. And with the purchase of an adult ticket located in the family deck out here, you can go to Indians.com and purchase your kids tickets.
Up comes Roberto Perez. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Seven for 67 on the year. Fastball in there for a strike, and that's 1-1. And a breaking ball, good one.
Yeah, it was. Perez doesn't like it, but it was a good pitch.
Alberto Perez is out looking. The Indians go in order. We go to the 8th. 2-1 Toronto. Broadcast is presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. (2-1) Toronto, 8th inning. Trevor Bauer with a big curveball in there for a strike. Trevor Bauer has equaled his career high in strikeouts tonight with 11. The last time he did that, you may remember the game. It was April 9th a year ago when he pitched 6 no-hit innings against the Houston Astros at Minute Maid Park. He walked 5 though in those 6 innings and struck out 11. And that was a no-hitter that went all the way into the 9th before Nick Hagedorn gave up a home run. The Indians still won the game, but that gives you an idea how good Bauer has been here tonight, because not only has he had the 11 strikeouts, he's only walked 2.
Well, he's had a nice combination working tonight. He really has. After that first inning, he made a mistake on that home run pitch, but boy, he's settled in and he's been throwing a boatload of strikes and pitching from in front. A lot of 0-2, 1-2 counts. He's up around 14 or 15. It is 15 right now with this one.
Rajay Davis moves from center field over to left. And Tyler Naquin, who pinch hit, is now the center fielder. A swing and a miss, and that's number 12 for Bauer, a new career high in strikeouts. And he has fanned 5 in a row. As we take a look at Miller time.
You're going to see a dirty dozen for Trevor Bauer. And watch it, changeups. You can see 2 seam fastballs going in on the outside edge, coming in, curveballs. And just watch the locations. You see the Toronto hitters. He's baffling them. This pitch up and in. There's been a couple of those tonight.
Belt high, 1-1. Devin Travis was rung up in the 5th inning. I don't know if anything's changed as far as the Blue Jays mentality, but I mentioned to you after he got Carrera looking, that was 6 out of 9 called third strikes. He's fanned the last 3 in a row, all swinging. So maybe they're getting the point. Like,
let's go. I'm not going to take it anymore.
Nubber stays fair. And Roberto Perez lunging and falling as he threw. Got him at first, 2 down.
I'll tell you why I think he fell. I thought Bauer was going to try and come in and get that play, and I think Perez tried to call him off, and he didn't want to, you know, collide with him. Watch. He's going to call him off, but Bauer's trying to call him off. Get out of the way. They get the out, easy out. A little more effort than you wanted to see, but out number 2.
The 4th inning, he had a couple of base runners, but he struck out 3. That's the only inning in which he's made a lot of pitches.
68 strikes out of his 105 pitches. You love to see him pitch in front. That's what makes him so tough tonight.
Threw it by Michael Saunders.
This has been the best fastball we've seen him have in a long time.
Yeah, and it's not like, Rick, he's blowing up the radar gun with it. But the hitters aren't. They're reacting. They're not getting there.
That's right. I don't care the velocity. That doesn't mean it. It's the location more than the velo. And that curveball has had a nice impact on it as well, changing the eye level from the high fastball, and it is a good break going down in the zone.
Breaking ball, and he stayed on it. Drives it into left field for a base hit. And with 2 outs, that could very well be the end of Bauer's night. We'll see what Terry Francona decides to do.
Well, you're going to
Callaway talk it over in the dugout.
Whoever comes in is going to face a tough right-handed hitter. He left the breaking ball up on that pitch, and that enabled Saunders to take it the other way. He likes to shoot the ball to left field, so he stayed on it nicely, and Bauer helped him out there.
Well, Jeff Manship is up in the pen, but it looks like Tito is going to stay with Bauer.
He deserves
it. Coming to the
he
plate.
knows he deserves it. He's been pitching like he should tonight, and Tito's saying, this is your game, kid. Get this final out, and hopefully offensively we can come get you a couple of runs.
And he's handled Encarnacion all 3 times tonight. That doesn't necessarily mean anything when you face a guy for the 4th time in a ball game.
No, this is a dangerous hitter. You don't have 34 homers and 100 ribbies by accident.
And 27 doubles. That's nothing to slough off either. So here we go. Swung out and missed.
Took you know, he knew he was going to get aggressive and get after that first fastball. So he puts a changeup down. Look at the movement out of the zone. Let him go after that. That's a great located changeup.
And a fastball popped foul out of play. Remember, Rick, when he struck him out back in the 4th, that first pitch was up. It was a little in. But then he came back with a changeup, and Encarnacion was trying to hit it over the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And then he just went to work on it.
Located a tremendous fastball in on his hands. He's really pitched him tough tonight. Coming back with the curveball. Keep it down and maybe bounce it.
Oh, he got him to go. Trevor Bauer, a baker's dozen, 13 Ks, a career high in strikeouts. 8 incredible innings, but he's still down a run. tires that deliver superior performance in clutch situations. Goodyear, more driven. The new pitcher for the Blue Jays is Jason Grilli. And this veteran still competing at a high level.
Yes, he is.
Maybe he doesn't have the stuff that he once had, but he knows how to compete. The numbers, nothing to sneeze at.
You go out there, he's been through it before as a closer. He knows what it's like late in the ball game. Competing is a very good word.
He has one strikeout, at least one strikeout in 24 of his last 26 games pitched.
Well, with the way Bauer pitched tonight, let's see this offense get a couple here in the 8th. Nope, your starting pitcher out. And he's trying.
I love that idea right there too.
You know, the run that the Indians scored back in the 6th inning, that's an unearned run because of the error on Travis at second base, allowing KIPNIS to get to third. And then it was a 2-out RBI single by Napoli. But you know, few and far between. They only have 4 hits, and we can't say that many times this year the way this team has swung the bat lately.
And this guy doesn't give up many hits. 5 for 56. That's what hitters are in his last 18 appearances.
Like you said, that was a good idea by Raja to get that leadoff man on.
Just a bit outside, 1-on-1. Now you've got Rajay, Jason KIPNIS, and Francisco Lindor here in the 8th. High fly ball, left center, drifting back is Upton, and they both call for it. Upton makes the catch. Carrera goes to the turf. And that's out number 1. Carrera has played a lot of center field in his career, and he probably forgot, wait, I'm not the center fielder here. I got to get out of the way.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he should know better. He's calling for it, but that's your center fielder's ball. If you play a lot of center field, he has the right. Get out of his way. Upton, a Gold Glove outfielder in his own right. He can go get him. Hey, Shorty, stay out of my way. Look. They make the play.
Really saying, just catch the ball.
Yeah,
somebody just catch the ball.
That's right.
Well, here's Jason KIPNIS now. He singled and scored the Indians' only run in the 6th. That came with 1 out. When he got that base hit in the 6th inning, a solid line drive to right field.
Well, it was a good pitch for the pitcher, not as a hitter. Let's see where that ball, does it wrap around the plate? Yeah, that was off the dish. That was not a strike. And KIPNIS let him know. It wrapped around it. It had no part of it. You see, when one's called like that, Matt, and it's a backdoor breaking ball, and they go out there, now the fastball is going away. You have to swing at that pitch because it's in the same location or really close to it. So you don't want to give him 2 strikes just looking at it. So you get the foul ball. Now he's got to work hard to stay into this at bat.
And you figure ahead of the count, Martin's going to stay right out there, maybe go even a little farther off.
Well, he's got a pitch to work with here. Look at, they want to elevate. Okay, there's his pitch to work with. Now he should go back out there again, I would think. He wanted a high fastball, but he wanted it up at least middle of the plate to see if he could get a swing and a chase. But sometimes when you try and get a little extra on that as a pitcher, you miss your mark. Fastball away. Coming back with that same breaking ball.
Was it foul?
Yeah, if you got one the last time, why not do it again? And that's one where the left-handed hitter has to stay on the baseball.
Well, and if you're Jason Kipnis in this situation, a one-run game, you figure he's not going to throw me anything in for a strike because he doesn't want to give me a chance to tie the game up right here with one swing.
It would be a mistake.
So you're looking away.
You would think so. I mean, he came in just for show. If he comes in for a strike, it's going to be a mistake.
Out of play. 2-2.
I think that's the pitch that Martin wanted a couple pitches before, only a little bit higher. But Jason's still battling to stay in this at bat. He has been locked in, folks. He's been swinging it as well and as consistent as ever. Any year he's had in the big leagues.
1 for 3 on the night. Down a run in the 8th with 1 out. Upstairs, full count.
And this has been a homestand where, for the most part, a lot of the Indians hitters had no fear of hitting with 2 strikes. And I think that's why they've been so successful on the homestand. They've had a lot of success doing it. And you can tell by the way they take pitches when they get to 2 strikes.
And the payoff pitch. Foul away again.
There's always that element or that doubt that you're going to get that fastball 3-2. You know, you have to wait, and just that extra split second in case he tries to throw that off-speed pitch on you. You don't want to be out in front of it, and that's why it's a good job to foul off the fastball and stay alive.
9th pitch of the at bat coming up.
He's due for a double.
Way outside, ball 4, tying run aboard.
But you take the walk.
Boy, that was a great at bat by Kipnis.
Yes, it was.
Fouling off the tough pitches.
And he was given a strike, really was, you know, and then he had to go. He was down to count 1-2. He fouled off a couple, he missed, and he ended up working that walk. Very good at bat.
So let me ask you this: what did Francisco Lindor learn watching in the on-deck circle that he can use in this at bat?
He's probably going to spit on that breaking ball early. He's going to look for that fastball until whatever count you get into, I would think. You don't want to swing at that breaking ball early in the count.
Fastball is up and away, 1-0. Coming with the breaking ball. Pretty good one.
That's okay.
Yeah, away, and it's at the knees.
You don't want that. You're looking for your heater. You're searching heater. You're taking with a 1-0 count like that. You don't want any part of that pitch. Now you get a good look at it, though. You know, you see how the break is, and you really can tell the speed of it. And he'll file that one for later in the at bat if needed.
Fastball knocked out of play down the left side. And it's 1-2.
So Frankie's got to do the same thing in the same kind of count that Kipnis had. He's going to have to go up there and work hard to get on and keep the at bat going. Crowd waiting to erupt.
Everything except one pitch to Kipnis that was an attention getter has been away. Down in the dirt, Kipnis couldn't get a good read on it, and he'll hold it first.
It's tough at first base sometimes to pick up the ball in the dirt, and you'll see he goes off, he sees the ball's in the dirt, he wanted to, but you just don't pick it up, and you have to be sure. It's 8th inning, you can't get thrown out. And that's what happened to him earlier in the game, and he ended up scoring that run, but it doesn't happen a lot. Did not get away far enough. Martin does a nice job behind the plate blocking everything. Good catcher. Great arm.
And not afraid to call that breaking ball.
No, not at all.
Tying run at first base. Now he's coming inside. Got it over the plate, but Lindor just pops it to center, and there are 2 down. He did not get that where he wanted it, but he gets away with it, and there are 2 down for Mike Napoli.
Well, he gets a fastball he thinks he should hit, but it's above the belt, and maybe he's upset at himself for trying to swing at that pitch. And it's tough to get on top of a fastball above the belt. So now it's up to Mike Napoli with 2 outs here in the 8th. I remember not this year, last year, Martin had a game behind home plate that seemed like in that whole series he was knocking balls all over the place, and he was hurt at the time.
Yeah, you're right. He knocked everything down. And if I remember right, he played in every game in the series.
He did. That was the 3rd game we're talking about. He was beat up, and it was a night game, and he came back the next day and caught the noon game.
Yeah. Mike Napoli had a big 2-out RBI hit in the 6th inning. Breaking ball low and away. Outside, he missed 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, he doesn't. He likes to get that first strike and then go to work and nibble a little bit. Test your patience. Never gives in. He's going to get a hitter away.
Pop to left. Carrera makes the catch. We go to the 9th. Toronto 2, Cleveland 1.
Field tonight over here at the corner, along with Jensen Lewis, Al Pulowski. Well, I guess if you want a feeling of what postseason baseball is like, you've got that feeling here tonight.
Yeah, one pitch is the difference tonight, but give Trevor Bauer all the credit in the world. I almost felt like it woke him up a little bit because he had some command issues in the 2nd and 3rd hitter of the game. But boy, after that, a totally different guy. The guy we saw that came in Toronto and was magical in relief. So, hey, they're right there. You're 1 run away, so Manship's got to keep it right here.
All right, it's the best in the East versus the best in the Central for the 9th inning. Indians live following the game, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. For the 9th inning call, here are Matt and Rick once again, guys.
All right, we'll see if Jeff Manship can hold the Blue Jays scoreless. And then we'll see if the Indians can muster up anything in the bottom of the 9th. Manship on for the 40th time this year, and Russell Martin looks at ball 1 down low. Trevor Bauer with 8 innings, 13 strikeouts, a new career high. A 2-run homer to this guy in the 1st inning, the only runs for Toronto tonight.
Isn't that something? One pitch you can lose a game on 1 pitch. And you know, you wouldn't think it would be in the 1st inning.
Martin pops it up, throws the bat in disgust. Lindor makes the catch, 1 away.
And it was Russell Martin back in the 1st inning. You see that fastball leak back to the middle part of the plate, middle in, and gets it over the left field wall. That was Martin's 13th. That was the 2 runs, and that's where we stand. 2-1 ball game. This does have a great feel to it, like a playoff atmosphere.
Melvin Upton Jr.
You know, you're looking at the teams with 2 teams that can score a lot of runs, but the 2 best pitching teams in the league when it comes to ERA. 1-2, and Toronto leads the way. Indians right behind them.
Two quick strikes. Got him looking. Boy, that was like taking candy from a baby. 2 down. Recapping our keys to the game, brought to you by Mazda. Bauer, what more can you say?
You
and
can't.
The Indians really didn't get to Liriano. 3rd time through the order, they finally scored. It was an unearned run. But, hey, I'm not going to. Look, he pitched really well tonight. He looked like, and I said it at the time, he looked like he had turned back the clock a dozen years or so. I mean,
Yes, he did.
he had
Give him credit.
That really good changeup, pretty decent slider when he
3
needed
good
to.
pitches tonight. He teased you with his fastball,
Yeah.
and that changeup he attacked with, and the slider he attacked
And
with.
he pitched ahead, which was the whole key to everything.
He stayed out of the middle of the plate, and yes, he did. He's normally wild, effectively wild at times. Hey, this is a team, the Indians, that they score average 6 runs in this ballpark. You have to score more than 1 to win. That's the way you look at it. They still have 3 outs left to do it too.
Did he go? He appealed. He did not. Got him looking at an off-speed pitch. Manship strikes out a pair. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Carlos Santana will lead it off. No switch hitter has ever hit more home runs in Indians history. By Goodyear on what has turned out to be a beautiful night in downtown Cleveland. Goodyear leading the way with tires that deliver superior performance in clutch situations. Goodyear more driven. And in the bottom of the ninth, 5, 6, 7 due up for Cleveland. Roberto Osuna looking for his 28th save of the year.
Yeah, a great arm. Osuna. 184 ERA, 66 strikeouts in his 53 2/3. Boy, you want to get that leadoff man aboard or get something happening. This crowd is ready to erupt. They'd love to, to celebrate here. A one-run game. They've got their work cut out for them.
Carlos Santana has walked twice tonight. Suda with a first pitch strike. Doubles it up. And Blue Jay fans making some noise here in the ninth. A year ago at this same time, the Indians had hit 97 home runs as a team. This year, they've hit 154. That's what always gives them a chance in situations like this, because they've got a lineup where maybe they don't have a monster home run hitter, but they've got a number of different guys who can take the deep.
Well, and you don't need a home run the way they can run, the way they can manufacture something, but they got to do it quickly. You're down to 3 outs.
Santana lays off a tough borderline high fastball. And that's what he does so well. From down on the count, he works himself right back in it.
Well, it's a good pitch. It's a teaser pitch, but he stayed back.
And it's one we've seen him chase a few times.
Oh, yeah, everybody, every hitter can chase it. Tough to lay off the high fastball like that. And you pop it up. If you do, put it in play.
One away. Jose Ramirez 0 for 3 tonight and has struck out twice. That's a rather rare occurrence for him.
Yeah, I don't blame him. He didn't like that pitch. This guy's throwing 96 and that ball's going away.
Hits it high in the air. Deep right. Saunders back. He's out of room. It's out of here.
Well, if you ever want a big hit, call 1-800-CLUTCH. That looked like a changeup to me, but it stayed inner part of the plate, and he gets enough of it to get it out of here. 0-2 pitch.
Oh, baby, did he love that one. After that previous pitch was called a strike and he didn't think it was, he was just waiting.
How about that?
Waiting for it. He got it and unloaded. Brand new ball game. Tyler Naquin Naquin to the plate and a foul right back. That got this crowd of 30,665 energized instantly.
You know, they believe that late in the ball game that they can score at any time. They've proven that, and now the crowd is doing something they've wanted to do all night long.
Out of play. Naquin in the hole, 0-2.
Another 0-2 pitch on this homestand. 2-strike hit. 44 now.
The 1-2 and a foul right back. Boy, he got an off-speed pitch that it spun a little, but it was maybe just above the hitting zone for Tyler Naquin.
I think that's the pitch Ramirez hit on, his off-speed, that little splitter, that change. I really do. He's throwing 96. He has a good heater. Coming with I think a breaking ball here.
Naquin with a drive deep right field. Saunders back at the wall. Can't make the play. Naquin off to the races. He'll go all the way to third. Sarbaugh waving him around. Unbelievable. The rookie delivers in the clutch. Last night, it was in a pinch hit walk-off performance. Tonight, he drives one off the wall in right field and Little League style just kept running all the way home.
I don't know what happened to Upton out there, but he didn't stop him, and Mike Sarbaugh kept him going, and he's got to be gassed. After he had to run the 120 yards, he gets smoked and pounced on at home plate. And how about that back-to-back hitters? And they come back and they scored 2 to win it. And Bauer gets the win.
Francisco Lindor wants everybody to know that Tyler Naquin should be on everybody's mind that votes for the American League Rookie of the Year award.
That was special.
Look at Frankie dunking him with the Gatorade bucket. That was beautiful. Wow, what a finish. Indians down a run. Osuna throwing 96-mile-an-hour pellets. Santana fouls out. Ramirez down on the count 0-2. Takes him deep. And then Naquin follows with what initially looked like a home run. Off the wall, and then a wild finish. Andre, can you hear me, brother? You better get your wetsuit on. I guess you guys are with me. Get your wetsuit on. Go ahead.
All right, who wants to start first? First of all, what pitch are you looking for, Tyler, in that situation?
Heater. All the way heater, you know. He throws hard, but he's got good off speed, and just sitting here the whole time, react to other.
What are you thinking when you're watching Jose's at bat? Do you learn anything watching him before he hits it out of the ballpark? And how do you keep yourself calm in this situation?
Well, just knowing, there's one out and still going up there, just put a good swing on the ball, just like Jose did. He got off speed and hit it out of the park. Just go up there, just confident and stay cool.
What does it feel to have these guys so confident in who you are and what you are? I talked to Kip last night, and he said, anytime I see Tyler up there, I expect something good to happen. How does that make you feel?
It's amazing, man. Coming into spring training, getting a job, and just playing hard, and these guys trusting me every day, and it feels good to be up here with them.
All right, I think we got to talk to these guys over here. Great job tonight.
Thank you, guys.
I think that jersey won't be worn again.
Yeah.
Jose, what were you looking for, and what was Jose looking for in that situation?
Se fue la cámara. Es que tú, ¿qué es lo que tú estabas buscando en esta situación?
Un buen picheo para hacer un buen swing y gracias a Dios me tiró el picheo, hizo buen swing y la saqué.
I was looking for a good pitch so I could get a good swing on it, and thanks to God I got a good pitch and I got a good swing on it and I got it out.
In a game like tonight, Jose doesn't strike out a lot, strikes out twice tonight. How do you keep your confidence to have a good at-bat in that situation?
Tú casi nunca ponchas y tú ponchaste dos veces hoy, entonces ¿cómo tú mantienes tu confianza en una situación así?
Es que mi confianza siempre tiene que estar ahí porque si no confío en mí mismo tengo problemas, entonces pero yo normal me di 2 ponchos con unos buenos picheos, me hicieron y nada, ese es el juego.
My confidence always has to be there, you know, if I don't get a good pitch, I have to keep on trying and I can't lose confidence in myself. I always have faith in myself.
Great way to start the weekend, Jose. Great job tonight, great win, and go enjoy it with your boys.
Una manera maravillosa para comenzar el fin de semana, que lo disfrute.
Gracias, thank you.
You're welcome. Back up to you guys up that top.
Anna got dunked, Andre got dunked, Jose got dunked, Naquin got dunked. Did they leave anybody out down there? Wow. What a ball game here tonight as the Indians come back to win it 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th, and it's time for a Pat O'Brien play of the game. I can't wait to see this again.
No doubt about it. I mean, I thought it was a home run. They're going back. The whole bench thought it was out of here. It goes off the top of the wall and comes back into play. Upton's going to come in. I didn't see where was he? He slips on the turf, and he's trying to throw from his butt. And Sarball just kept waving him inside the Parker. Back to back. That's unbelievable. Upton slipped. His right foot gave way. And both hitters hit off-speed pitches on Ozuna. And that went up. And look at him kick it into gear, and he wasn't going to stop. And watch Sarball. He's going to say, keep right on going, man. Almost fell. He was digging. That was beautiful. Just beautiful.
Just incredible. What a finish. I mean, the inside the park home run is something that you almost never see. An inside the park walk-off home run?
Very special.
That's about as rare as it gets.
This is the kind of year the Indians are having, folks. And I'll tell you what, if you don't watch or you don't come to the ballpark, you're missing a treat.
Well, the 30,000 plus that were here tonight had an absolute ball watching the way this game finished as Tyler Naquin gives the rock star salute in what was an absolute curtain call performance for this ball club here tonight. The last walk-off inside the park home run here in Cleveland happened in 1916. That's awesome, guys. Well, that's going to wrap things up. For Rick Manning and Andre Knott, I'm Matt Underwood. Thanks for watching. I don't know what else is left to say, but Alan Jensen will wrap it up on Indians Live coming up next.